Hello and welcome to Discover Tinley. Thanks for watching our program every month where we highlight the people and organizations in town that make Tinley Park a great place in which to live. And as we all know, Tinley Park is a pretty great place in which to live. Hope you had enjoyed Discover Tinley last month a little bit at the beginning of the month. Great show and a tremendous opportunity to see what's going on in Tinley Park. As usual, our program is brought to you through the volunteer efforts of our high school, college students, adults, all kinds of volunteers helping us out. My name is Ron Centanni, by the way. I'll be your host tonight. And speaking of volunteers, though, I do have a little sad note to report today. One of our very long-time volunteers in Tinley Park, Colleen Simon, passed away this past week. She's noted for her long-time work on Oktoberfest, the Veterans Commission, and so many other things in town for many years. So we'll greatly miss Colleen Simon. Today's program is going to talk about the safety of Tinley Park. Two people who are very involved with keeping us safe in a variety of ways. And our first guest is one of the outstanding chiefs of police in the area, Steve Newbar, Chief of Police at Tinley Park. Welcome to Discover Tinley.
Well, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, and you've been here now how long? You tell me.
I've been here 6 years.
6 years. Everything going smoothly, right?
Everything's going smoothly. I was police chief in another community, and then came here to finish my career out.
Oh wow! Oh, you're going to end up in Tinley Park? You think?
Yes, I am.
Oh wow! Many years more, right?
We'll see.
Speaking of, how many people do we have in the staff now? How many officers and staff we have in the police department?
Currently we have 75 full-time officers, which includes me, and we have some part-time officers and some civilian support staff. But the policemen on the street and the police cars, we have 75 officers.
Wow. And recently there was a big study saying we need more, or what's your feeling on that?
That's correct. We had a sense that we needed more officers, and so we commissioned the Northwestern University Center for Public Safety to do a staffing study, which was really a complicated study they'd had to do with how busy the officers actually are. Part of the study is we like the officers to not be busy every moment of the hour. They need to patrol and proactively look for criminals and ways to service the community. So that study was done recently, and it showed that we were lacking in some staff. They suggested optimally we would need 13 more officers and 2 to 3 more supervisors for the department. We did the study for a couple of reasons. First of all, police officers are a very expensive commodity, so we want to make sure we have the right amount of officers in the right place and things like that. Also, they looked at the whole organization, how many supervisors we had, and the ratio of officers to supervisors. So the study gave us an optimal number of officers. We would like to achieve that, but we're not going to achieve it in the first year. It's going to be a multi-year sort of deployment of these officers, and we will check as we add more officers and see where we stand.
Yeah, I guess the study said they want them spending more time patrolling. I guess paperwork is part of your job?
Paperwork is part of our job, and one of the things people don't understand, you look at the raw numbers of calls we handle, which was actually last year about 37,000 calls.
What? Wait a second. 37,000?
That's correct.
In 1 year?
Yes.
Oh,
and
my
most of
goodness.
those are non-criminal. Most of those are servicing the public, motorist assists and alarm calls and things like that. So they're very busy.
That's outstanding.
They're very busy.
Yeah.
But we would like the officers not to go from call to call. We would like the officers to be able to do some proactive things in between.
Oh yeah! Wow. Well, now how long do the other patrols? How often are the police cars out on the road?
Typically, the officers have a 10-hour shift.
Okay.
So, and we have some overlapping times where there's 2 shifts on the street, so we multiply the force during the busy times of the day.
Do you cover different parts of town at different strengths, or is it pretty much evenly separated throughout the village?
The town is divided into patrol beats, and one of the things the study looked at was the level of calls and patrol beats, and the study made some suggestions to make sure that each beat has pretty much the same level of calls, and so we made some adjustments to meet that goal.
Are there some areas that are busier than others?
Oh, sure. The commercial areas, the malls are much busier than, let's say, the residential areas.
Oh, wow. What's it take to become a police officer in Tinley Park? What kind of qualifications do our people have to be here even?
Well, that's a good question. It's a civil service job, and so you need to meet the criteria, which is a college degree, some other criteria, and of course have a clean background, not be a criminal yourself. We give a civil service competitive test, and based on that testing, you're put on a civil service list, and as we need officers, we call people off the list. We do an extensive background. They have a psychological test, a polygraph test, a physical test. If they meet all those requirements, then they go to the police academy. You know, police academy is 14 weeks now, and that's done locally here in northern Illinois. There's a couple of them, but we send our officers to there's a police academy at the College of DuPage.
Oh.
When they're done with that, they come back for another 16 weeks of training with a field training officer, a senior officer, and so it's better than 6 months before we let them go in a police car by themselves.
Oh my goodness.
Right. And in any step along the way, the officers are on probation. So if they don't do well in the police academy, or if they're not suited to the job, then we separate them from the organization and start from scratch. So it's very difficult to get people.
I suppose, but I'm glad you have some good standards to stay to
We have
keep.
some high standards, and we will maintain those standards.
Thank you very much. You said 37,000 calls. Are there some that are more common? What are some of your common things that you deal with on a daily basis, would you say?
Well, we deal with a lot of traffic issues,
Okay.
traffic accidents, traffic stops, those kinds of things. You know, I think one of the things people don't realize is 37,000 calls, that's a number, but some of those calls get pretty involved. In the past few years, we spend more time on sort of socially related calls, people with family issues. It may not be violence, but they're seeking help. They have issues with drugs in the community, all those types of things. So we do spend a lot of time engaging the community, and these calls take a lot of time, a lot more than they used to.
Wow. I guess it's getting busier. I don't know if that's good or bad, they're keeping you busy. I wish you weren't so busy.
Well, as you look at things in the community and budgets and things like that, as governments and things shut down, for instance, mental health issues. We spend a lot of time on mental health issues. We don't have the mental health facility in town anymore. And as social agencies don't do these jobs, we're left with having to deal with them. And so it becomes a struggle many times to do things that we're really not set up to be doing.
Any issues that are a little on the unusual side or crazy or stupid side?
Well,
what are things you got to deal with that are really kind of goofy?
Well, we deal with the human comedy sometimes, and we deal with a lot of alcohol-related calls and those types of things. But one of the things we try and do is tell people that, look, you could help us do our job if you do a couple of things. Lock your houses, lock your garages, lock your cars. Leave lights on at night, and call 911 if you see something suspicious. We'll send a couple of officers out right away to take a look and make sure that everything's okay in your neighborhood. To that end, a few weekends ago, we had 15 cars, I won't say broken into, they were burglarized, they were all unlocked. 15 unlocked cars entered in one night.
In one night.
In one night. And 3 cars stolen, and the stolen cars all had the keys in them. So people were out roaming in neighborhoods, and they found cars with keys in them, and off they went, upgraded their vehicles. So
Oh my goodness.
please lock your
Lock your
cars,
car.
leave lights on, and call us if you see something suspicious.
Wow. Recently in the news, the Lane Bryant issue has come up, I guess a big anniversary time. Can you give us a little update on what's happening with that situation?
Sure. So the Lane Bryant case was a homicide 10 years ago, 2008, at the Lane Bryant store. 5 women brutally murdered. There was one lady who was a survivor, and the crime is unsolved at this point. We still have 2 detectives who work on it. That's their job. They work on the Lane Bryant case, and we still follow leads. There's been over 7,000 leads. We still reevaluate evidence that we have. As time goes on, there's new ways to process evidence and things like that. So the 10th anniversary, we met with the families. There was a wonderful memorial service at St. Stephen's Church for the families. And also we reaffirmed our commitment to the families that this is an active case. It's not a cold case. It's not a closed case. We resolved to solve it. Whenever we have an anniversary, we get a lot of tips because it was quite prominent in the media. And we're working on those tips and just put them right in the queue and keep at it. So
It's amazing.
The 2 officers who have worked on it are diligent and they're committed.
Wow, it's so amazing. 10 years, you're still working on the case. Give you credit for perseverance.
Well, you have to persevere, and this was such an unusual case nationwide. cases like this just don't occur.
Right,
People think they're very common, and it was a very rare case.
Right, wow. Another thing that should come up lately too, these school intruders are coming up. What does the Tinley Park Police Department do about that?
Sure. So active shooters at a school, it's certainly a nationwide issue. Everybody is concerned. And so we do two things. By law, the schools all have to do a drill every year, and we participate in those drills with emphasis on teaching and instructing the staffs at the school to make sure they know what to do. And then they relay that to the students. And we also teach the officers, have training on responding to an active shooter. And during the summer, we train at the schools, and we're very, very committed. The officers are very committed to respond to that, and the schools have been great in their cooperation.
Wow. So we're prepared in case something happens.
We
Hopefully
are prepared.
nothing will. We don't want to have that situation, but at
The
least
schools have all upgraded their physical plants. You know, in years past, people weren't too concerned if a door was unlocked, and the schools are all very much locked down, and they've taken our advice, and they've done a great job.
I bet. Now you've got something called a Neighborhood Watch program. What is that all about? How does that work?
Well, Neighborhood Watch is a program that we used to have in town, and people kind of lost interest in it. And in the last year or so, there had been some pretty prominent crimes that got some of the neighbors worried and upset, and they wanted to know what they could do to help the police department. So Neighborhood Watch program is a bottom-up program, not a top-down program from the police department, where neighbors get together and they preach my mantra of leave your lights on, lock your door, and call the police if you see something. But they do that with their neighbors on a peer level, one-on-one level. We provide them materials, we provide them training and instruction, and it's neighbors actually talking to neighbors to try and make their neighborhood safer. One of the good things about the program is neighbors really don't talk to neighbors very much anymore. Not like in the days when we were growing up. And so this gets people out and an opportunity to learn who their neighbors are, because you know the way to stop crime and make a safe neighborhood is if everybody's a participant. And I don't have the staff or the ability to do that, but neighbors can. And so it's worked very, very well. We have a lady who stepped up to be the liaison, and she's very active in this, recruiting people all the time. So if you're interested, or anyone's interested in Neighborhood Watch, go to our website, and it tells you how to join and what it's all about.
Wow. Okay, good to see we have that in effect. Like I said, neighborhoods are very important. That's critical to keeping things safe around there. Everybody watching out for one another.
We have had a couple hundred people show interest in Neighborhood Watch. It used to be a block captains.
Oh, yeah.
We have too many blocks to have block captains. We have over 100 subdivisions.
Oh, my.
We found out during this program. We did a little investigating. So we're trying to recruit people all the time.
Okay. Now, one last thing I saw that you have a setup where if people do buy stuff on the internet, they can come to the police department to
They can.
finish the sale?
They can. In 2013, unfortunately, we had an internet sale that went bad. One young man was shot and killed.
Oh, my.
So to that end, people like to buy and sell and trade things on the internet. And what we encourage them to do is come and do it in the lobby or the parking lot of the police station. It's all under camera. It's a safe place.
Okay.
They can do it out in the parking lot, and they can do their exchanges there. Nobody has to go to anybody's house. It's a very nice, safe way to do it. And they do it out in front of my office window. And so I sit in my office, I look out the window. One day I saw a gentleman get out of his car, another lady pulled in, and he tries a leather jacket on, and he's looking in his car mirrors and hands her a couple of bucks, and off they go.
Oh, geez.
We've done a commercial lawnmower like the landscapers use. They were driving it up and down our parking lot to make sure it worked.
Okay.
And they did the sale. And people, cars, those kinds of things, come on by anytime. There's always parking in front of the station.
Wow. Well, it sounds like you've got a full-service police department here with everything. So
We do our best. I couldn't be more proud of the men and women that serve in this police department.
yeah, I've been fortunate to associate with. I'm on the DARE committee and all this stuff, and I know some police officers are my former students, and you've got some excellent people on staff there. So keep up the good work, and
Thank you very much.
Tinley Park's in good hands with the policeman. Chief Steve Neubauer, thanks for coming to Discover
Well,
Tinley.
thanks for having me.
Our next guest has a lot to do with the safety in town here, but a different aspect, the fire safety in town. And we got a new fire chief in town here who came on last year, Forrest Reeder. Thanks for coming to Discover Tinley.
You're welcome. Happy to be here. Thank you.
The fire department, that's a pretty important department here in town, isn't it?
Yeah, very proud to wear the patch and to be part of the Tinley Park community now.
Oh, welcome.
you.
You come into a very established program. It's over 100 years old,
Yeah,
I think.
1901.
Wow,
yeah. So it, going back a long time now. So it's, 117 years, a great tradition here, and hope to keep the torch moving forward for the department.
And I've been in town like 45 years or so. You're about the fourth fire chief we've had here, so we've had a lot of stability in town here. So welcome to the community.
Thank you.
What's your background now? Where'd you grow up, and where'd you go to school?
Well, I'm a lifelong Palos resident. Matter of fact, just 50 years ago, my dad told me the other day we moved into Palos Park, which is where I got my start in the fire service. I went to Carl Sandburg High School, and while I was going to Carl Sandburg, a group of guys I hung out with on the swim team and some of the other sports and things like that all had relatives and family members that were part of the Palos Park Volunteer Fire Department, and they had a very active cadet program. And right when I was about 15 and a half or somewhere around there, I kind of hit that magic age where you could go down, and I joined their softball team, and maybe that was the real motivation, was just to join the fire department softball team, but I walked in the door in the middle part of 1978 to join as a cadet, and coming up on 40 years now.
40 years.
I've been in the business now in a whole bunch of different places and things like that, and hopefully finishing up my career here in Tinley Park.
Oh, you too? Okay, Chief Neubauer just said the very same thing, so I'm glad we got people who want to stay here for a while.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, good. And now, what's been your experience so far? Where have you been, and where have you been a fire crew picker?
Well, this is my fourth department. I started, again, as I said, with the Palos Fire Protection District. I worked there until 1996. I left Palos to go to the Pleasant View Fire District, which is in Countryside, Burr Ridge, and in the LaGrange area up there. And previous to coming here to Tinley, I was the Division Chief of Training and Safety for the Des Plaines Fire Department.
Okay.
Again, this makes Tinley the fourth department that I've worked for, and looking forward to the challenges and a lot of successes to come in our time here in Tinley.
To ask you, any interesting experience fighting a fire? Any really big thing you've been involved in?
Oh, we get that.
Probably a few, but I was just wondering, is there one that stands out?
Yeah, we get that question a lot, and just talking with a lot of friends, and getting to be my age and my experience. There's been a lot of guys that I kind of grew up with that have started to retire, and we always like to talk about the big one and the retirements. And we talked about in Allsup a number of years ago, a paper factory fire there that literally burnt for a couple of weeks because it was all rolled and baled paper, and very difficult. And oil refinery fire and a couple explosions in Lamont and Romeoville, and it's been any number of memorable events, and a lot of really good things, as well as some tragic and sad events too, which unfortunately kind of balance each other out in our business too.
Yeah. That's why I give you a lot of credit for being in the business. That's quite a role you have to play. What does it take to apply? What does it take to be a fire department officer or a fire officer in Tinley Park? What does it take to be one and stay one?
Well, we have 100 members of the department, all a bunch of great guys and girls working for us here in the fire department, and at a minimum, the certification level that Illinois uses is called a basic firefighter. And a basic firefighter roughly is about 320 hours of training that they would go through to get that level. And then additionally to that, we train all of our firefighters in hazardous material response, certain levels of emergency medical response, typically at a first responder level. So roughly by the time they're what we call eligible to respond is about 400 hours of training that they have to go through just to get their initial certifications. And once they're hired on and working for us, they typically will work between 7 and 10 12-hour shifts a month. and they could be assigned to an engine company, which again is responsible for putting out the fire, a truck company, which would be responsible for the heavy rescue efforts that the department goes through, search and rescue efforts and things like that, and that would be spread between any of our 4 stations that we have currently serving the community.
Yeah, talk about those. So where are the 4 stations located at, and how are they staffed?
Okay, that's a great question. We have 4 stations, and they are all staffed around the clock. So that's been an ongoing effort that the village has committed to since around 2001 when we started to staff our stations.
I remember the
here.
days when we were the volunteer fire
Yeah, exactly.
department.
But just the growth in the community and the service demands, we could no longer maintain the service quality that we want in the community. So that became a real big challenge for us to figure out how to staff and to get the right number of people that we have in the stations. We have 4 stations that are strategically located, and again, our goal in all of our responses, whether it's for a fire, for a car accident, a medical response, is to try to be on scene in between 4 to 6 minutes. And obviously, a lot of that is dependent on the time of day, the amount of traffic, other calls that are going on, and things like that. So. We have a station off 173rd in Oak Park in the downtown area, and that's our headquarters station. And running from that station, we have a shift commander, and we have a minimum of 4 people that run out of that station just on the fire side. Our Station 2, or what we now call Station 47, which is our north side station, and that's roughly at 167th and 80th Avenue. And that station is again staffed with 3 firefighters around the clock, and the paramedics from our EMS partner from Kurtz also have an ambulance there. Station 3, or what we call Station 48, that's out on the west side, and that's at 175th, right around 9100 West over there. And again, same thing staffing-wise. And most of our stations, you'll see a minimum of 3 people in. Depending on the time of day, special events may be up a little bit more. And then our newest station on the south side off of 191st Street, that's Station 4, or we refer to it again as Station 49, and that's staffed the same way with an engine crew of 3 firefighters down there.
You just got to get us thought about it. You got 3 or 4 at a station. When you have a call, now do you call other firefighters in to help out on that call, or does the 3 or 4 people take care of the whole call?
No, it all depends on the type of call. Typically, if we would respond to a report of a house fire, all 4 of our stations would respond. And again, we're blessed with great manpower here in Tinley Park that we're able to put 15 firefighters on the street for every major emergency like that. And then with that, we also bring in some of our mutual aid communities, Orland Park. We utilize Mokina, Frankfurt, Oak Forest, Country Club Hills, and again, the departments that surround our community here to assist us in bringing, typically a minimum of about 25 to 30 firefighters to a structure fire in any of our communities.
Wow. Okay, that's good to know. I didn't know all of them responded to.
Yeah, it's necessary just for safety, and we have to be very redundant in a lot of our assignments that we have on the fire ground. And obviously, as a crew goes in, we have to have a backup crew on standby. The command structure that we have in place to keep our folks safe in terms of a safety officer and the battalion chiefs to run the incident and those things. Those are all really important for us too.
I bet. Wow. Well, it sounds like you're fully staffed and ready to go then.
Always trying to get better. Always working on trying to increase that and make sure that as our service demands increase, we've got enough people to take care of that for us.
Any idea how many calls you do have, say a month or a year or something like that?
Well, it obviously it fluctuates, and there's a lot of variables there. But I can tell you that already this year, as we here in the beginning of April going into May, we're looking at already being ahead of last year's pace, together with the fire accidents, the different types of responses that we go through in conjunction with the paramedic calls. There were over 8,000 runs between the fire department and the paramedics that Tinley Park responded to last year.
In 3 months?
No, I'm sorry, for the entire year of 2017.
Oh,
but so far in 2018, we're ahead of that pace already. January of 2018 was one of the busiest months we had on record. Maybe due in part to the weather, but we can never tell, and we can never staff at certain times to plan for that, because it's just all a bunch of different things that come together. But the fire department itself, about 27 to 2,800 calls per year, and then the ambulance side of the business, they respond to about 6,000 calls for service per year. So it's a very, very busy community. Again with 60,000 residents, and then all of our daytime population, all of the transportation coming through town. Every train that comes through brings another 600 potential customers to our community. we have to be aware of our service needs for those at all times too.
Oh my. Now, is the ambulance service under you? Is that part of your?
No, no, it is not.
Oh.
That's under the function of the emergency management agency here in the community. The ambulances are housed out of our fire stations, and that gives us accountability for the ambulances, and we work side by side with them on crashes and a lot of the calls that we go through. So we found that to be a very effective method of delivering service, is to have our contract partner in the stations with the fire department, like many of the other departments in the area.
Okay. Now, biggest thing now, the new insurance rating. I understand Tinley Park Fire Department is now one of the best insured.
Yeah, no, thanks, Ron. That's a huge bunch of news for us here. It goes into effect on July 1st of this year. We're going to have a formal kind of rollout of what that means for the community in the middle part of May. But, in short, what that means is that the fire department was rated against a set of criteria, and that included everything from our dispatch center to our public works capabilities for water supply delivery through the hydrants, to our fire department operations and our fire prevention and public education efforts. And as a result of that assessment, we are rated as an ISO Class 1 insurance rating, placing us as one of only 200 departments in the entire country to achieve that level of status.
Oh my goodness.
So that is a really, really big deal for our community. And though it's just a number, what that really means is that every insured property in the village of Tinley Park will be eligible for some form of what we believe will be a significant discount in their property insurance. So from our homeowners to our business owners, and anybody who owns property in the community, if their their property insurance is covered by an ISO level of insurance valuation, they should be able to see some sort of a reduction because of the capabilities that the Tinley Park Fire Department has.
Wow, 1 in 200 of the whole country?
1 in 200 in the country, yes.
Are there many towns our size even in that 200?
Well, our next door neighbors in Orland and Mokina, they both enjoy a Class 1 rating. Again, so we do have a nice strong population here of Class 1 departments in the area. Illinois, I don't know exactly what the number is, but it's a very, very small percentage nationwide of the communities that are eligible for that that we're able to get that.
Well,
so
congratulations!
Thank you. And again, that's all been a ton of work that has come before I got here. Amazing amount of work by the chiefs and all the members and all of our other partners, and really was a team effort to make that happen in the community.
One last thing, briefly answer, what's your vision for the future of Tinley Park Police Department? Any ideas?
Oh, for the fire department, our
fire department. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Our vision for the future here is what we've tried to build in our community is that we want to build an organization that is better, faster, safer, and smarter. We try to look forward through the windshield, not looking too much from the rearview mirror with where we're at, and trying to anticipate what the service trends are going to be, where we need to be with how many people, the staffing, the equipment, the resources, the personnel to support the challenges of the fire department in the coming years. And that's quite a challenge for us. And we're very excited to be part of the growth of this community.
Sounds like you got well underhand. So,
I hope so.
Thank you so much for coming to Discover Tinley.
Pleasure to be here.
Keep up the good work with the fire department. And we're under good hands with the police and fire department taking care of the safety of Tinley Park. Thanks for watching Tinley, Discover Tinley, and we'll see you next month.